Yo, what up? So, hands down, without a doubt, the best minion in the history of PoE 2 is an ant that just crawls out of a hole. Who'd have thunk it? I'm joking, but for real, no other minion comes even close to these guys. In fact, they're so strong, I played them for 20 minutes, went back to my hideout, and immediately invested all of my money just into this character. I skipped the early game, the mid game, the early end game. I went straight to the deep end game. And when I say this, I'm not exaggerating, I'm just being genuine. This is the most fun I've had playing PoE in years. Now, the culprit in all of this are this gang of ants that go by the name Frozen Mandibles. You can find a rare ant in the Ashen Forest. If you don't find it on your first try, just remake the zone and you'll find it eventually. It will always be a rare mob. Trust me, you can't miss it. It runs really fast when you summon it, and it runs really fast right at you when it's trying to beat your ass. Alright, first things first. Normally, every video when I talk about minions, I always say the same thing. You can play whatever ascendancy. Nope, not this time. These things cost 99 spirit at base, so you need to stack some spirit. Now, because I got your back, I spent some time testing the budget, and don't worry, you do not have to stack spirit like I am to play these guys. What I'm doing is giga expensive super endgame min-maxi. What you're seeing on the screen right now is me taking off all of my gear, and I'm clearing a +4 difficulty endgame map and boss using simulated gear. Basically, this is the equivalent of a +3 scepter, a +1 helmet, and a +1 amulet. Literally your baby gear setup on day one. And as you can see, with just 2 ants and a few support minions, they're actually clearing the map. Now, obviously it's not supersonic speed, but you get the point. They're actually getting the job done on this level of gear. Actually insane. Now, for the Spectres themselves, they literally only do pure fizz damage. So the way we scale them is by getting more fizz, a little bit of extra chaos, and mostly we're just trying to focus on armor break. And that's basically it. Trust me, I never shy away from trying to explain complicated stuff, but there's nothing to explain. They just run fast and they hit hard. That's literally it. Okay, literally as I was recording this, they finally announced their update. So by the end of this week, probably about Friday, they announced they'll be activating the Abyss mobs for Spectre spawning, so POG, and they'll be removing the hidden mods on rare mobs. Now, this is actually not going to nerf the Frozen Mandibles, but this will nerf the Haste Aura mob. But at the end of the day, if every minion was using the Haste Aura and every minion loses it, then these are still going to be the best minion in the game. And for the record, I did look into the Frozen Mandibles on PoEDB. It's a bunch of nerd stuff. Long story short, I see no reason for them to be nerfed. They have no hidden modifiers, they have no hidden aura, so they should be free from the nerf. Now, before we go over the gears and the gems, I do want to mention, look, if you have any questions, the fastest way to reach me for now, before I make a Discord server, is to just go see if I'm live on Twitch, and I can just answer it immediately. I'm streaming pretty regularly now. Genuinely, I do not care if you stick around. I feel bad when I see someone ask a comment, and it's been 6 hours, I just ended stream, and it's like, oh. And it's like, ugh, well, if I had known, I would have just answered it, but I'm literally playing the game, so, look, I'm only one guy, I can only be in so many places at once. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. All right, boys, bear with me. I've been awake for about 26 hours, and it's 2 in the morning, so I'm gonna try to do this as coherently as I can. Now, first things first, let's start with the boys themselves. Mine are level 20 quality. They're linked with Feeding Frenzy, Rapid Attacks, Muster, Ulnatol's Embrace, Heavy Swing. Now, we'll talk about this in a second. But when I'm mapping, run Impact Shockwave, okay? When you get to a boss, you put in Heavy Swing. Now, Ulnatol's Embrace. This is very expensive. I bought mine for 8 div. It is useful. It is good. It helps armor break everything when you're mapping. Do you need this to start the build out? Absolutely not. You can just run Heft and it's completely fine. Some of those clips you're seeing are me running Heft. Some of them are running this. Ultimately, this is better, but it's really not that big a deal. These guys are massively overpowered anyway. This is the min-max route. You don't have to do this. All right, now going from the top, obviously, Hellhound, Meat Shield, Loyalty, Elemental Army, Hulking Minions, and Minion Mastery. Skeletal Warrior, Sacrificial Lamb, Meat Shield, Blind, and Death March. 1 Storm Mage is recommended, so he can actually shock the mob, and even a 20% shock is 20% more damage, so we're running Shock, Stormfire, Overcharge, and Muster, and that's it. Now, Flesh Pierce, like I said, this is the Haste Aura mob. This is definitely going to be getting nerfed, and you find these in the Interlude, right here at the Traveling Merchant. If you go to the Traveling Merchant, there should be a rare mob there called Flesh Pierce. If not, just respawn the zone and he'll be there. And like I said, come Friday, this guy's going to be nerfed, but hey, problems for Friday are not problems today. Now, come Friday, obviously we're going to lose him. I don't know what I'll replace him with, but truthfully speaking, I am 1 spirit away from being able to just summon my 7th Mandible. I can pull some voodoo magic and get 1 spirit real quick, and I would probably just get my 7th mandible, because sure, why not? But with the new abyss mobs, who knows, maybe there's another support minion. Elemental army and meat shield, ignore the gem that was there. Skeletal brute, and the biggest reason we're running this guy is just because shattering roar. He intimidates nearby mobs when you press the command button. It lasts 4 seconds. It's pretty good. Running Tekrod's Revenge. This is a garbage gem, but it's really good. Basically, when a minion dies, it'll live for about 10 seconds and gain Soul Eater. This is big for bosses, so you can keep spamming Intimidate if the boss lives longer than 4 seconds. Then we have Magnified Area, Biting, and Impact Shockwave, but like I said, I just gem swap Impact Shockwave Heavy Swing. I'm just too lazy to put it in my inventory, so I just leave it here. Pain Offering, Prolonged Duration, Dance, Efficiency, and Sacrificial Offering. Nothing special here. Pain Offering with our Rattling Scepter. I'm still running Unearth. I feel like it's just the most generic thing. If your PC can't handle it, you can run anything here. Just run like Bone Cage or something on a 1 link. It's not that big a deal. Feeding Frenzy, Rapid Attacks, Prolonged Duration, and Minion Instability. And we're still going to run Voltaxic Mark. Ultimately, it still gives us a chance to shock. It still helps us with Armor Break with Mark for Death, and Prolonged Duration just to make it last a little bit longer. The only downside about this is that it does have a 41 dex requirement, so if you're like re-rolling to this character, you can not run this for a little bit, but eventually I would recommend level 7 and just keep this at level 7 and get it set up. Last but not least, Skeletal Clerics. Now, personally, I always recommend 2. I've tried with 1, it just doesn't really feel good. Anytime things go really bad, having 2 is going to make it so instead of having to wait for them to respawn, usually they can clutch up and save any minions, so I always recommend 2. Last Gasp, Elemental Army, Minion Mastery, and Meat Shield. And there you go. Now, my gear is 40 divines, maybe 50 divines, I don't know. It's very expensive. I wanted to go straight to the end game, and I've always wanted to be able to use a Prism Guardian, and because these guys cost 99 Spirit, it gave me the perfect excuse to do what I've always wanted to do and just Omega stack Spirit and Reservation. So, I have a +4 Scepter with 30% Spirit. Obviously, the more Spirit you can get, the better, and I went for % general damage. The reason I recommend % general damage is because, well, there's going to be new Spectres, and even if they're not as OP as these guys, they might be fun to try out, right? And having % damage is going to be more valuable than having cast speed or attack speed, because you never know what you're going to be playing next, at least in this patch. Always recommend a Rattling Scepter, +2 ES, nothing special here, but as you can see, I have a talisman called 6% increased reservation. This is expensive. When I bought it, it was 1 divine each, and the reason I run that is because, like I said, these guys cost 99 Spirit, but with my setup, they cost 58. And that's thanks to having all of this. If I were to take this off, obviously it's going to go up 2, but that's 2 times 6, that would be 12 Spirit, so it adds up very quickly. The more you have, the better it is. Prism Guardian, personally for me, literally garbage 11 all res one was good enough for me to cap my res, so I just went with that. Amulet, I do not have an anoint here. That's actually a mistake. Here, literally I'll just show you. If I was going to anoint something personally, I would either anoint some sort of chaos res, or I would anoint quick response. I just forgot to do this, but this is just energy shield recharge. +3, 44 Spirit, energy shield, lightning res, global defenses, which is technically just more ES, and then minions deal 23% increased damage. This is an insane amulet. I did buy this for 6. I don't think it was worth 6. I think this thing's worth like 10 or 15 even, but I got lucky, bought it, and I'm never taking it off. Chest piece, a lot of res, at least 40 Spirit. Again, the more Spirit you can get, the better. And keep in mind, we are an Infernalist, right? So we have the Infernalist nodes, we're scaling health, Prism Guardian health. I'm not opting for a ton of HP, I just wanted to get to 6 mandibles, and so just getting like a tier 2, tier 1 life on this, and a tier 2, tier 1 life on this, was good enough for me to barely squeak by. I did spend a few hours POVing this so I could do this. For you, if you don't want to do that, like just get as much Spirit as you can, and if you end up with 5 mandibles, just call it even, and there you go, right? It is what it is. Chaos res, lightning res, same thing here, chaos res, some dex, cold res, and that's pretty much it. The gloves I've been wearing for like literally 4 days, just ES, tri-res. The belt, and this is where it's a little expensive. I bought mine for 5, I believe, and then like I said, each jewel was 1 div each, so this is about a 7 div total to get 22% increased reservation. And as I said, we're stacking more reservation, and this is how I'm doing it. And then Bones of Uller, perfect roll, 30%. The downside is that these guys clear so fast that for other minion builds, you know, 6% move speed wasn't that bad. But these guys clear so fast, like you've seen from the footage, that I can't keep up with them. Like if I actually just had more move speed, I would clear the maps faster, which is the first time I've said this in this game. This is usually a PoE 1 problem, and we have that problem with these guys. It's actually nuts. Now, charms are actually important. I would run a freeze charm, a bleed charm, and a poison charm. I have 800 HP, so if I get bled or poisoned, it's really bad. The only other thing that sucks is an abyss when you get ignited, but I think frozen is going to kill you more than ignite. But if you're really annoyed by it and you're not really worried about freeze, then I would go for an ignite charm, and then you'll probably not have any issues with, you know, damage over time anymore. As usual, there's a max roll guide down below that's just going to literally just be a carbon copy of this character. Nothing special, no fancy tricks. It's just a copy of this character put straight into it. So this is a tree. I keep the same tree for every single build. We're still scaling the extra fizz because even though we're not stacking it a ton, we just don't really have a lot of options for damage, and they're doing pure fizz. So hey, a little bit of chaos res, a little bit of damage, a little bit of percentage damage. It's really not bad. I still opt for these tri-res nodes because Abyss is insane. Maybe after the patch this will be a little bit better, but for now I still think that this exact tree is the same for every build that I've played because it's just pretty good. You get a lot of recharge. I could personally drop these ES nodes and go get this, but I honestly have only done one time in like the last 28 hours. And it's literally, if I'm being honest, it's literally just because I'm like so tired and exhausted that I just am not paying attention. I'm like, oh, whoops. All right, my bad. That's literally it. Otherwise, I have a 10,000 ES. You're really not going to die. For the Ascendancy, obviously very straightforward. Altered Flesh, which is why I went for as much Chaos Res as I can get. I'm at 67. I was debating anointing Chaos Res, so that's why I didn't anoint. I'm still not really sure which one I'd go for, but probably Recharge, honestly. Betat's Will, stack health. Betat's Hand, stack health. And then the dog is just for a little companion, and he gives us 7% more damage because of muster. That's it. He's a good lad, but we don't have anything else to get. And that's it. That is the summary of the best build I have ever played in PoE 2. It's not my favorite necessarily. I'd still say, you know, the next build I play when I'm done with minions will be. You know, keep that in the back of my pocket. But overall, genuinely 10 out of 10. Like, in terms of fun and experience, most fun I've ever had playing PoE 1 or 2 even in probably like 3 years. And I'm not exaggerating. They're a good time. That's it for me. Have a good one. I'll catch you later.